Looks like we're live. I think we're live, right? Let's see if it triggers in on this upcoming here. Making sure everything's good. This is a special, spooky live stream version, I guess. We're going to be going into some detail here. I wanted to set something up, and that's why I'm wearing this mask here. It looks like we are live, maybe, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we are, huh? Oh, all right. So it looks like we are live to the public, guys. Welcome, welcome. So if you're watching this, probably means you're not trick or treating with your kids. Um, I'm not trick or treating right now either. I don't know if I will trick or treat today, but this mask is very small. Why am I wearing it? Well, because it's Halloween partly, and I wanted to show up with some kind of costume. But the other part is, I think it's time to take it out so I can talk. So this live stream, I want to start a new series. If you guys have been following the channel for any length of time, we have really been about helping you start. And as the industry has evolved and progressed, there's a lot of new things that people are not talking about. And it's some of the successful brands I attribute it to like a mask. They want to mask this away from the general public. So I want to expose that to you guys in this live stream and begin a little conversation here and also a little bit of education. So the beginning part of this video will be really talking about what's changing and what's shifting within the landscape, especially when it comes to owning and starting and running a brand, and what tactics and mind shift you might need to make in order to better relate and grow what it is that you're doing. So whether you're just getting started or you already have an existing brand and business, my goal here today is to really help you guys see it in a different way, give you some tactical things you can apply today, and be able to get some nice treats later on when you apply it. So let me know where you guys are watching from. I'm watching the stream from my phone. So we're just going to kind of go through it, share where you guys are watching from. And more importantly, if you currently have a brand, if you are already in the process of operating it, put a fire chat in the chat right there. Just drop a fire emoji. That'll let me know you already got a brand. And if you're in the process of starting one, just put a W for the win because you're in it. You're in it to win it. And you woke up and won today. And hopefully we can continue to do it repetitively time after time, because this is actually one of the first live streams we're going to do till the end of the year. So every week for the rest of the year, we're going to be going live with you guys. And the goal is to really break open marketing tactics, bring in some incredible guests, with our first one coming in on Tuesday, which I think you guys will really enjoy. And we're just going to keep doing this week after week. We're going to be going hard up until the Christmas weekend. So just be a really good way for us to connect, get to know each other, and more importantly, be able to assist you as you start to build it, whether you're launching it for Black Friday, if you already got products in the mix, maybe you're just looking at some ways to market. We're going to give you those tactics leading up to that season, and then post Black Friday and into the holidays. And we're going to be shifting gears for you to be able to launch successfully in 2026 and beyond. So drop that chat if you guys are. So we got a couple people. We got Sophia, incredible. You're already in the process. And we got Marty watching from Australia. This is always cool to see where you guys are watching from. I love it. I love to see where we reach. And it's always cool to actually connect with the people that are actively pursuing it and doing it. So let's begin. I think it's a good place to start. I wanted to really kind of break down. It's a new format for the live. It's nothing like overly prepared. This is actually just me sharing real-time information to. I've shared this with brands. They've applied it. They've used it. They've had success with it. And I want to just share it with you guys in a not so clean and polished way. But I want to be able to interact with you. So the biggest thing is just being able to drop a question as you get them, and then we're going to be answering them later on in the stream. So I think it begins by us really, really begins by laying the foundation of where this all comes from. So back in 2015, I launched my very first YouTube video. For those of you guys, I don't know if you guys remember it, if I've had like one or two people join a live stream or I met in person, they're like, I watched your video in 2015. That's been kind of cool. But I don't expect anybody in today's live or rewatching to be a subscriber since 2015. But if you are, let me know. It'd be awesome to connect. But back then the industry was shifting, right? And everything went from, the reason I made that first video was because I had gone through about 5 years of learning how to do things the hard way, meaning investing into supplies, mass manufacturing, all before finding an audience and then going out there and trying to sell it and trying to scale it, all without having a Shopify or a proper e-commerce site. So everything was a lot different pre 2015. So when I launched that first video, it's because I realized, wow, the industry's changing. Nobody's sharing this information, and I've gone through it all. And I wish somebody would have told me. So I launched that first video on starting a budget with $50. And that's kind of how the channel started. And social media evolved along the way. It started by being social, right? So the way that you sold was for you to get a following. So everything was always about, hey, you like my page, go subscribe. Hey, you like this, go follow. Hey, you like this, go reshare my post, right? It was always about trying to get real people that you had as customers or potential customers to follow your social media page. Because back then, from 2015 probably to up to about 2020, the game was pretty consistent. The higher the following, the more viewership and the more interaction you would get with your brand, which would translate to more sales. But after 2020, I would say the algorithm slowly changed. And it's no longer about social media, but it's all about interest media. So, what does this mean? Well, this means that the dynamics of how you connect and relate to a potential customer are completely changed. And some of the biggest brands have already taken advantage of this, and they're already making plays to be in the interest media game, while everybody else is still building content that relates and looks good and builds the brand. So if you're watching this right now, you're going to have a leg up because you're going to see a big shift over the next year. And if you guys are in the process of doing this and you actually apply some of the taxes that we're going to share, you guys are going to be way ahead of the game and you're going to see your business and your brand transform. So that's what I'm excited to share today, guys, is really sharing the tactics of how you turn from a social media driven world to an interest media world. So we're gonna get started, guys. So it really begins with the understanding that you really have to go for building attention before building a business. All right, so it's all about having attention. Attention is one of the biggest things you can cash out on right now. The attention that you garner with your posts, with your content, with your audience. How much attention you can attract can almost correlate with the amount of sales you're going to create. And what's really interesting, I heard this like last year, and I was like, that can't be true. But Mr. Beast actually shared that today, 30% of kids want to be YouTubers. Whereas like even a decade ago, it was all about them wanting to be astronauts. Right. So kids back in the day, especially like even me, I remember like, oh, that would be so cool to be an astronaut. That would be awesome. So as a little kid, you don't really think about how hard it will be to be an astronaut. You just say, that'd be so awesome to be an astronaut. But today, kids are saying, I want to be a YouTuber. And that tells us a lot about where the industry and where attention is going, right? That tells us that everybody right now is actively a creator or attempting to become a creator, and they're thinking about business as a secondary extension. Whereas if we're right now in my generation, right? I don't want to date myself, but I'm definitely a millennial. I'm a dad. I got 3 kids, right? I'm an unk. The other day, somebody called me an unk. Jay, just here, they said, "Yo, you an unk?" And I said, "Man, that's the first time anybody called me that. That's what's up." It's like a rite of passage, you know. This is definitely an unk thing to wear. And as we were watching we were watching something with my friend, and he said. He was like, "Yo, that's definitely a way to cheer as an unk." And then I said, "Yeah," and he said, "Oh wow, no, that's your hardcore unk." So I'm officially an unk. Don't want to date myself, but back in the day, for us, building a business was where we wanted to start. Right? We wanted to start with a business, and then we went to try to find customers. So we always started with an idea of what it is that we wanted to create, what it is that we wanted to make. And then we would try to reverse engineer it and find an audience that will buy it. So that's how traditional business was. It was about finding a product and a problem and then finding the target market that would buy it. So Today, though, everybody's, because of social media, it's changed. The whole industry has evolved. So the industry now is about building an audience first. And how do you build an audience? Well, you're going to build it based on people's interest, right? It's going to be about interest that people have. And let's take, for example, right? So, like a big brand, even Mr. Beast, right? Today, he sells Feastables. In like 5 years, I guarantee you that most people won't know that Mr. Beast is the owner of Feastables, right? It's going to be such a big company, like multi-billion-dollar corporation, that a lot of kids in a lot of parts of the world are just going to look at Feastables the way that they look at Hershey's. But it's not today. It started because Mr. Beast had a following, right? And then he launched multiple products before Feastables, right? He launched different games, ideas of like different little products, merch. He had merch for the longest. He would push it hard on his channel, and merchandise did well for him. But it wasn't until he found the right product for his audience that it became a at least over $1 billion company right now, with hundreds of millions in sales in just chocolate, right? Because once you fine tune, once you build an audience, you can sell them anything as long as you understand what their true needs are. So the framework of thinking about starting a business with the idea and then finding the audience is now flipped. And if you're not thinking about it in that way when it comes to marketing, you're going to be left behind. Because every time I get on a call with a brand owner in our community, they're always thinking about what type of content they're going to make after the product is already made. So I want you guys to start flipping that. If you're in the process of making something right now and like you're thinking about, hey, I want to do this brand, completely flip it. Don't even think about design right now. Really think about what type of person do you want to attract into your community. And this doesn't mean that you necessarily need to be in front of the camera. You don't need to be front facing. You don't need to be showing your face. You just need to be able to build content that attracts those interests. And we're going to be diving into some examples throughout this live stream. So if you guys are watching us live right now, let us know where you're watching from and drop a question with anything that you guys currently have in mind, a bottleneck that you might have in the process related to building and really growing your brand's reach. Because in this live stream, we're diving into how you should be thinking and reframing your state of thoughts to be able to better relate to a real audience that buys your products. And if you launch a product and it doesn't work the first time, well, by doing this formula, you're going to be able to continue to have new attempts, new tries. It's not the end. So this is definitely changing the way things are being done. So when it comes to actually building an audience, right? A lot of times the main bottleneck and the main hurdle really is around the hesitancy to put yourself out there, right? So when it comes to you making anything, one of the biggest bottlenecks for new brand owners or even existing brand owners is that they really don't want to put themselves out there. They don't want to show what they're doing. They don't want to necessarily like own it, because the fear of failure is real with everybody, right? There's a lot of people today that are scared to fail. And it's just driven by the fact that society has awarded winners and has said, hey, man, you suck. At the end of the day, that's how people feel about things. But the reality is that the failing is the only way to learn. And if you're not putting yourself out there and learning from those mistakes and those failures and learning from what worked and what didn't work and what you could improve on, then you're never going to grow, and you're always going to have this idea but never actually execute it. Or if you do execute it, you're never going to be able to scale it and grow it. So it begins by being open as you plan, right? The first step is to automatically already think about, okay, I have to have a content play. And a little bit later on, we're going to share a framework of how you should think about the content play. So hang tight. We're going to be diving into that. But the second thing you need to be able to do is be open to real feedback in real time. Now, I want to tell you guys a story. I want to tell you a story that will kind of illustrate this. And this story was actually something that recently happened, and it was pretty cool because it definitely happened. I wasn't expecting this question. And yeah, so I was interviewing the president of Alibaba, which is one of the biggest companies in the world right now. And it was the first time he did an interview with a person that wasn't a big news publication like BBC or Business Wire or Forbes, right? So it was his very first time talking to an everyday person like me, somebody that's just in the camera. And they said, hey, we want you to interview him. And I said, all right, cool, let's do it. So I got on the camera. I was just having fun, kind of like we're doing right now, just talking, riffing, and I was just asking him questions. I had a couple questions that I wrote down, but then when I got into the interview, I just wanted to get to learn about him and just kind of really unpeel some layers and learn about his strategy and things that are happening in the market. Now, after the interview, I felt like the interview went pretty good. After the interview, he asked me. He says, "Hey, John, how do you think I did?" And I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You did great." He said, "No, no. How do you think I did on a scale of 1 to 10?" And I was like, "Whoa, that's a good question." I was like, "Okay." And in my head, I thought about, do I lie or do I tell him the truth? And at that moment, I was just like, oh, you know what? Hey, man, you want the truth or you want me to lie to you? And he laughed and he said, I want the truth. I said, all right. The truth is you did a 7.5 out of 10. And he said, 7.5? I said, yeah, 7.5. And he said, okay, well, what would make it a 10? And I gave him feedback. I gave him real honest feedback about how, because he's so well spoken and he's spoken to the media many times and everything's very polished, and people in the business industry that are investors and people that are following certain topics, they know all the lingo and they can catch what he's saying without necessarily needing more explanation. Where I told him, hey, if you're doing interviews with people that are real people that are like today might be building it on social media, they're not used to those articles and they're not used to that verbiage and that slang. So you got to think about how can you explain a high level concept into a very simple format. And he said, wow, that's going to be hard. And I said, yep, that's your 7.5 out of 10. That's where you get those 2.5 points. And he said, man, I really appreciate it. Thank you. And we shook hands and it went great. Right. But I share that story with you guys because real feedback is what you need after you actually go out and put yourself out there. Right. And real feedback means that you want to know how you can improve. Right. And the algorithms and the content, your designs, everything that you create, when you launch it and you make it and you put it out to the world, you're going to get some feedback. And that feedback may be you're not getting any views. It may be that you didn't get any sales, or it may be that you got low amount of sales. Why is that? Right? When you put it in front of your friends and people that you thought were your target customers, and they all said, yeah, I love it, man. I love it when you did that, that pre-campaign of showing them designs. They're like, that's fire, bro. I caught that shit. They're all going to tell you stuff to make you feel good. I think they call it gas you up, right? And so a big part of that is that you're not going to get real feedback from friends and family. People that love you typically don't want to tell you the truth. And that's where it's very important that you are very transparent with people and you ask them why aren't you buying it, right? Why didn't you like this? Why didn't you share this piece of content? And they may not know exactly why, but as long as they kind of tell you, hey, you know what? The design, thought it was kind of cool, but it's not for me. And then you ask them why not, right? Try to dig deep into why they're not buying or resonating with what it is that you're doing. And when it comes to social media and content, when it comes to content that you create for your brand, it's easier than ever to really see how you can improve, right? The analytics themselves will tell you the drop off retention, the swipe rate, the share count, the likes, how many comments. All of that is real feedback. So even if people aren't telling you anything, they're showing it in the algorithm. And when it comes to your store, checking that bounce rate, checking how long people are standing on your website, right? All of those little moments, by being able to analyze those details, it's telling you in real time that your website sucks, right? If you're getting 1,000 people there, you're not at least making, one sale or two sales, that means that your website is pretty bad, right? So you need to improve it. You need to do better at it. And those are all metrics that you could track, and it's real-time feedback. So you just need to be open to getting the feedback you need to grow, right? That's very important. So step one is essentially making sure that, hey, I know I need to do this. And in a little bit, we're going to dive into framework. So I'm really excited to show you guys a little bit of framework and how you should think about it. The second part is you need to be open to real criticism. Stop overthinking it. Put it out there. The earlier you can put it out there, the faster you'll know it'll suck and the quicker you can reiterate. I know people that hold on to ideas for a year, and then when they execute on it, it looks incredible, right? But then they didn't think about executing on their marketing. Their marketing is like a second thought. Like the designs are amazing and it's really cool and it feels like there's something there, but it's missing the messaging and how you're going to connect to an interest-based media landscape. We're no longer on a social media landscape. We're in an interest-based media landscape. So that means that everything that's being shown in your algorithm, whether it's being shown on your Instagram, on your YouTube shorts, on your TikTok, or on your YouTube homepage, it's all around things that you're interested in, right? It's real interest that the algorithm has pulled and it has gathered data from you that is now telling you, hey, you might be interested in this. And the reason that the algorithms do that is because their goal is to suck as much attention as they can into their algorithm, right? Into their platform. Because the longer you spend on there, the longer the amount of ads they can serve to you and the more money they make. Right? This all plays in. It's a perfect ecosystem. The more they understand your interests, the more ads they can run to you and the more money they make. So as a brand owner, your goal is to get as many views as you can organically around an interest. Because if you're paying for ads and testing really nice looking imagery on an advertising sake, they're going to take your money. They'll happily take your money, even if it's not converting, right? And this is why people can spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars and barely get any sales or break even, is because the creative, the marketing isn't there. And we're no longer in a marketing base where it's just to look good and to try to like look like the next big brand. We're now in a real interest-based media, which means that you need to make content that really targets the interests of your customers. So keep that all in mind. One of a really good example, somebody that did this incredibly well, is even Gymshark, right? Gymshark is a great example of a brand that didn't start as a brand who then made content. They started with the founders who built up an audience of fitness enthusiasts, right? And these fitness enthusiasts were watching their content. They were literally like watching their workouts, watching what they did. They would go to events. They would host meetups in the before 2020, and they were doing all this to build a community. Once they understood the community, they realized, hey, let's make a product for them that's for our community, right? And then that product became Gymshark. So it started with a community of people that just resonated with that interest and with that topic, and then it became a brand. So today, you have to think about it in the same way. It's not just about your brand and then how can I market it. It's what are you trying to sell and for what interest group are you trying to sell it to, and then create a brand around it. And it might just mean if you already have a brand, though, it's not too late. So if you have a brand right now and you're like, okay, is this too late for me? Should I scrap this? No, it's not, guys. You just got to now think about, okay, what is my brand really about? What is the brand ethos? Like, what was the mission? What was the reason that it even inspired me to get started with this, right? Those are all things that you need to be thinking about, because those are all topics that you can then create content around. So right now, if you guys are watching us on this stream, drop a question or tell us where you're at. If you currently have a business, if you currently have a brand, I want you guys to actually drop a fire emoji. If you have a current business that's existing right now, drop a fire emoji. And if you're in the process of making it, drop a W, because you're winning. You're in here, you're learning. It's Halloween, right? So like right now, it's probably 7:00 your time if you're watching on the East Coast. It's 4:00 my time. My kids are probably like, yo, where's my dad? He told me he's going to take me trick-or-treating. Well, I want to make sure I give you guys some treats before we go out and do some tricks. That doesn't sound very right, actually. We're not, especially wearing this chain, right? We're going to go out and turn some tricks. No, we're having fun with you guys. My main goal is to bring some knowledge to you guys. So we got a W. We got Marcure. Where are you based out of? That's a cool name. I don't know how to pronounce it, but W. We got Saul with the W in the process. Much love. Have a blessed night and weekend. Likewise. Thank you so much for coming through and joining us in this live. It's going to be available on the replay. We're going to be diving into some things right now. We got California. Okay, that's what's up. So we got some people from Australia. We got California in the building. We got some people. I know somebody just messaged me and said they're watching me from Vegas. So it's pretty cool, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. We got I'm still here somewhere. Where are you at? I'm still here. Where are you based out of? Are you a fire emoji or a W? Are you in the process of launching it, or have you already launched? North Carolina. I love North Carolina. You know, I visited North Carolina, Yasir, and I really thought it felt like California. It felt like it was a very interesting place. I was like, wow, no wonder a lot of Californians are moving to North Carolina. I was in Charlotte. Yeah, I was in Charlotte. It's pretty cool. So yeah, go check it out. I think you'll like it. It's a pretty cool vibe. Charlotte, North Carolina is where I've been, and there's a lot of people telling me to, I think Mr. Beast is in Greensboro, North Carolina, I think, or in that area. So I don't know. Maybe the North Carolina people know exactly where Mr. Beast shoots his stuff, because I know whenever people shoot in Vegas, I'm like, I know exactly where that's at. I grew up in this city. So we got Jason. Jason, mostly photography, #1. What's up, man? Thank you for joining us in this live. Guys, let me know how we can assist you, how we can serve you on this live. I want to answer as many questions as I can. So wherever you're at within your brand, if maybe it's a question regarding, how to build up your following, or if you currently have your business and it's not gaining any sales, give me some context as to what's happening. We want to help unlock that in this live. So you're in Brevard. I haven't heard that. So I'll take a look at it. I'll see how far it is from Charlotte. And right now, you guys are taking time out of your schedule. You guys are out here. You could be trick or treating, but I'm trying to give you as much treats as I can. So that's the goal of this live. So just let us know how we can assist. All right. So now, when it comes to how do you apply this, right? So we've been talking about the shift within branding, the shift within marketing a clothing brand. We've been really diving into the reason, like how brands have evolved. The ones that are killing it and crushing it right now are using this exact formula, while the others that are just paying for ads and are having trouble trying to break even or make a profit are still doing it the traditional way. So how do you break through, especially if you have a low budget? Well, we're gonna dive into something that I really love. It's one of my favorite topics, and it's about making content, right? So for me, making content for YouTube was one aspect that I never thought I'd get into, right? So it wasn't like I never wanted to be a YouTuber. Clear that up real quick. Never wanted to be on YouTube, and I never wanted to be in front of a camera. Right. So those are two things that I never wanted to do. I did, however, have a dream of being a filmmaker or a videographer. I also wanted to be in the military, and I also wanted to be an entrepreneur. And at one point, I wanted to be an astronaut. Right. So those are my 4 goals. I want to get to space one of these days. At least I can cross that off my bucket list. And everything else I've kind of accomplished in some way. But the reason I share that is because I never wanted to be in front of a camera. So what does this mean? This means that I've always been behind the scenes, right? So I've worked on some music videos. We've done a lot of brand shoots. I've done a lot of ideation for different content for different brands and businesses. I've consulted in marketing with numerous, like literally hundreds of clothing brands just within our own city, let alone throughout the nation. And we've come up with plays for everybody and anyone at any age and at any stage. And what I really love about that is that with everything that you create and everything new that you make, you learn something, right? And then you see what works. You ask for analytics, you look at audience details, and then you start to. It wasn't until recently that this clicked for me, right? I was doing this for a long time, and I never really realized how it played into. Because everybody's always going for views, right? So if you're watching right now, don't just go for views, all right? Views is only one aspect of your content strategy. So if you're thinking about, okay, how do I apply this and where do I get started? I want to break down a funnel real quick. Can we actually pull up the funnel here? We're going to pull up something on screen so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. And this is essentially what's called a marketing funnel, right? And it wasn't until you see a lot of times brand owners are focusing on only one part of this funnel, but what you should be doing is hitting all 4 or all 3, depending on how you want to break this down. Some of them might not even be video content, but it'll be more email marketing. And for that, you got platforms like Omniscient. I don't want to go into all that right now. We're just going to focus on content. So let's take a look at this funnel real quick. So this marketing funnel is essentially, it's awareness, you got interest, you got consideration, and then you actually got the sale. You got that conversion, right? And then at the bottom is the loyalty. But let's begin with awareness. So when it comes to this funnel, when you're making content, you need to think about, okay, where does this piece of content, if you're just getting started with content, you should always think about how to attract a bigger audience, because the bigger the audience, the bigger that you're going to have a chance to bring somebody into your brand and get to know about them. But a lot of times people just always attempt to go for that wide audience, and they're always trying to go for the numbers that they never actually build a relationship with them. So we're going to break down this funnel and what it means for your content strategy for your brand. So whether you have a new brand or you have an you're going to start a new brand or you have an existing brand, I want to break this down for you guys so you guys can use this and you guys can start literally applying it tomorrow or today while you're out there trick-or-treating. Because we're about to go. I think I saw my wife come on here, so pretty sure the kids are like, "When are we going trick or treating, Dad?" And I'm giving you guys all treats because I'm gonna trick them, and we're not gonna go trick or treating. That's kind of fucked up. He had a Superman costume on and everything. All right, so shout outs to my wife for joining, and shout outs to everybody watching right now. So let's dive into this funnel. All right, at the top of this funnel is awareness. Now, when it comes to awareness, it's essentially you're trying to go for mass views. And a lot of times people try to go for mass views with a video that is a consideration or a conversion. What does that mean? Let me explain. So let's just say you have let's just break it down with a real case study. I don't want to name the brands, but I love our community members. But this is one that recently came up to mind and I had to like send some messages. So the first one was, it's a wellness brand. They have incredible designs, amazing videography, looks beautiful. But when it comes to the marketing of this brand, the awareness play, it needs to be more thought out. So if you have a wellness brand, you have to, that's the genre, right? We'll call that the bigger group, right? Wellness, and then you have niche, which is like fitness. Then you have a smaller niche, which may be like Pilates, and then a different niche that may be running. So you guys see how it like all kind of breaks down. The interest, the general interest is wellness. But then from that, you should have a sub niche that just dials more into that. So if it's mental health, or if it's exercise or healthy living or dieting or food, right? Your brand needs to live in a space, right? You don't have the budget to compete with any of the big brands that have the general ability to market. You need to start with a niche that you could really dive into. So what does that mean for a wellness brand? Well, let's just say you have a wellness brand, and instead of just posting content that looks really cool and like it looks like you have an incredible lifestyle and it's very like balanced, you should also consider making content that's going to reach an awareness play. And the awareness play, so if we pull up that funnel, the awareness play is essentially like, how do you get into the algorithms of people that are already interested in that subject? So if you have a wellness brand, a way to do this would actually be to either do like 10 habits you could do before 8 a.m. that'll set you up for success for the next 24 hours or for the next 12 hours, right? Like it could be things where you're literally giving a listicle and like you're integrating your brand into that. You might be getting dressed as you're talking about that, as you're talking about those daily habits people can do. Or it could be, 3 ways to make sure that your morning routine starts off right, or decompressing after a college exam if you're marketing to college students, right? So you need to understand, who is this brand for and what type of interests and content are they already consuming or looking for? By doing that, you're able to hit the awareness mark, meaning you're going into the algorithms of people that have already interacted with content like it. So the algorithms like Instagram and YouTube and TikTok will say, hey, this is a cool video. Like it's giving a solution to a problem. Let's put it in front of this person that doesn't know anything about your brand. And now they're consuming that video and they're like, oh, that's actually really cool. I love the advice. I love the way she shot it. I just love the way that she's motivating me to get my day started. So then they're going to go check out your profile. And on your profile, if all you have is branded content that's just like, buy my stuff, 2 for 1, buy 1, get 1, buy 2, get 4, like nobody's going to connect with that. But if instead you have a content strategy that already played for the awareness, so you considered, okay, get ready with me, 10 things you can do to start your day off right. They love that. They love the vibe. They love the music that you chose. Every little detail connects to that person that's interested in that subject. They then go to your page, and then you could just subliminally really really showcase your products. Maybe you got some journals, and in the journal you could say, this is the most powerful journal you can start the day off with. And it's a cool video of you actually notating, like showing how it works, right? Because now they're interested in what you're doing, and that leads them to the consideration, right? So they're interested in what they're doing and what you're doing. And then by having, so the journal play will be like, hey, this is a cool journal with me, 10 ways or 5 ways that I could actually, get my day started, right? Here are the 5 things I ask myself every morning, right? And so like a subject of your journal. And then the next piece of content could be, this is how this journal is changing your life or can change your life. And now you're talking about the actual details within that journaling process. So you start with, holistic living, get ready with me. This is how you set up your day. The audience members automatically going to look for more content. So now they're seeing other content that they're now interested in. And then when you start to actually have the sales points, they're in the consideration stage of actually investing into your brand. And the more that you can hit those different pillars at different times and at different stages, the more that you're going to get traffic to your page. You're going to get people interested in your brand. They're going to follow, they're going to like, they're going to comment. And then eventually you're going to sell them with the features of your products, right? The transformation that you can give. But a lot of times people are starting within a subset of that. They're already starting at like the consideration stage. They're like, hey, buy my product, buy this brand. It's really cool. It's got these features. It makes you feel good. It's warm. It's got 100%, Pima cotton, 400 GSM. Those are features. They're not the transformation that you can give somebody. So you need to balance out your content strategy. You need to think about, how do I reach the audience that I want to reach that's going to relate to my brand? Begin there. That's the mass awareness top of funnel. From that, you need to think about the other content that you're going to make at every stage of the funnel in order to convert them into a buyer. So the better you can do this, guys, the more you're going to be like just naturally flowing with content or ads or ideas that you can go out and market and sell your brand. Because I know that oftentimes when you're starting a new brand or business, you're thinking about it in the sense of like, why isn't anybody buying my stuff? Everybody always asks, how do I get more sales? How do I get my first sale? Your first sale is going to come once you understand who that person that's going to buy that product is, right? The more you understand that person, the better the design may be, right? You might have a really cool video. You might have a video that goes viral. And if it doesn't lead to any sales after you work this framework of awareness, consideration, interest, consideration, and a conversion, if it's not converting anybody, it means that you're not connecting to anybody, right? So you need to look back at your design, right? Again, this is that real-time feedback. You may have a really good video and you may have a brand that people really resonate with, but if nobody's buying what you're selling, it means that they're not connecting with your offer, right? And then maybe they are connecting with your offer, but they're not seeing how it could benefit them, right? So you need to be able to fix things, and that's how you get real-time feedback. So it's all about putting things out and then making adjustments as you go. And you got to be prepared to make real-time adjustments. And that's the reason why I always recommend, like, if you're on a budget, you're testing these things, don't go out and try to spend $5,000 on your first drop. Think about how you can build out the brand strategy with a print-on-demand actual manufacturing play. How can you build this on demand? Get the sampling, build out the marketing, and then did this design hit? Is my niche attracted to this, right? And if you're able to get sales on a small level, you now have that data point where you can say, okay, now I can invest into better fabrics. I can invest into custom cut and sew. I can invest into better embroidered techniques, or even go really crazy with my printing ability, right? But you need to be able to prove it out. And a lot of times people will try to prove it out, but they'll prove it out by just launching a design and they're like, it didn't sell. I don't know what to do from here. I tried marketing. I did paid ads and nobody bought anything. But there's so many different levels that you got to clean up, right? And that's why that funnel is so important. So as you guys are building your brand, keep that at the top of mind. You need to really consider how it is that you're going to reach a mass awareness market and then how you're going to go into the interest content, and then the consideration stage. Each of those require a different type of content play. And it doesn't all have to be videos, guys, and it doesn't all have to be your face in them, or it doesn't all have to be like a crazy production. It could literally be something that you guys film once a day for 4 hours, and you get like 20 to 30 videos that you can now post consistently, right? It's all about looking at from different angles and perspectives. So at this moment, I think that we have talked a good amount. At this moment, I really want to answer some of your guys' questions. If you guys have been watching this right now, you're like, man, how do I apply it to my brand? Send me an example of your brand. So whether it's a certain niche, give me some context. I'd love to give you a real-time case study and example. And if that's not a good way to interact and for you guys to ask a question, just answer in the chat right now. Chat group. What's the hardest part for you? Is it building the attention or converting sales? So we're going to leave that in the chat real quick. Hardest part, building attention or growing sales. We're going to hit that so the hardest part for you, is it building attention or converting sales? If it's building attention, put let's put a number 1. Or if it's in converting sales, put a number 2. So is the hardest part building attention or converting sales? Let me know right now, guys. Are you getting a lot of attention? Hit the 1 right there. Or are you not getting sales? Is the sales the issue, right? Put a number 2 in the chat. So 1, if the hardest part is building attention. 2, if the hardest part is growing sales. So we got Jason Mosley Photography, growing sales, number 2. Cool. Yeah, I think a lot of so building attention or converting sales, right? So a lot of times too, so like just think about this as well. When it comes to sales, a lot of it really is a numbers game, guys. It's just all in numbers. So you're never gonna close a small group, right? And in e-com, you're doing pretty good if you're anywhere between 2 to 5% conversion on your overall traffic visits, right? Like if you have 100 people visiting your site and you get 2 sales, you're crushing it, right? That's actually pretty good if you're just getting started. So just imagine if it was hard to get 100 people to go to your site and you only get 2, but now you're like, okay, how do I grow that to 10 sales, right? That's a 5x, right? So that means that you got to get 500 people to your store in order to get 10 sales, right? So you got to think about that in terms of numbers. And a lot of times people look at it like, hey, I'm not getting enough sales. And then when I ask them, what's your traffic look like? And it's like, oh, I got like 50 people to the site today. And it's like, that's not going to get you any sales. You might be getting 1 sale every 2 days, maybe 1 sale every 3 days, depending on your overall traffic, right? And it's not always 100 means 1 sale. It could be 1,000 views translates to, 5 sales, but then it starts to compile, just the more that you market, you start to average out that 2 to 5%. So if you're not getting sales, it might be a traffic issue too. But if you're getting crazy amount of traffic and you're not getting sales, then you have a problem, right? Then you have to look at, is it the website? Is it the offering? Is it the messaging? Is it the marketing? Is it like, are people confused as to what I have? We definitely want to dive into brand reviews on these live streams, guys. So if you guys are looking for us to review your brand in real time and actually diagnose things that are happening with it, head on over to our Instagram. It's just John X Santos, and just drop me a DM with either your Instagram page and your website. If you send me your Instagram and website, it'd be the best move because we can actually give you content advice as well as website improvements and things that will help you convert. So John X Santos on Instagram will actually review your site in real time. I'm saving 3 of the ones that submitted just yesterday. I'm going to save them for our guest on Tuesday. So if you guys are new viewers to this live stream, we're going to be going live every week, and we're helping you guys not only prepare for Black Friday and to get into the holiday sales season, but we really want to be able to assist you in the marketing and the development of your brand. Because chances are you might have seen one of my videos on like starting a brand on a budget. Hey, I'm past that. I already started my brand on a budget. I'm running it right now. I'm trying to grow it. How do I do this, John? Well, that's what these streams are for. we're going to be going in on this. And if you guys want to join us on a stream, if you guys are like legitimately like, yo, I'd love to talk to you on a stream, hit me up on Instagram, John X Santos. We'd love to have you guys come into the actual call and like we can actually diagnose things side by side. So I'm really excited for this. So we're going to be going live every single week. So make sure you guys are tuning in, and we got videos coming almost every week for the rest of the year. So it's pretty cool, guys. We finally came out of our hiatus. It was a lot of moves and pivots, and really cool people on the team joining us, like the man you see her back behind the camera. He's even featured in one of the videos. All right, so we got Esau. Hey, John, awesome content, much support from Texas. I'm currently 16, and I have my brand and LLC about to launch. But before I launch, how can I stand out and really connect to my customers' needs? Esau, man, you're 16 years old, and the way that you just asked that question, I want to go ahead and just give you a big applause, bro. Huge applause. You are 16 years old. Tell me, are you homeschooled by any chance? Or are you just in a really good school? Because kids today and adults today don't know how to ask a question. So your question right now gave context. What is that you're trying to do? What stage you're in? And your overall, need. Like, what is the question that you have, right? So the better the question that you can frame it, the better we can answer it. So incredible, man. I love it. So he has 16 and a brand LLC, and the fact that you're 16 years old, incredible, man. Before I launch, how can I stand out, really connect to my customers' needs? Okay, so 16-year-old, that means that, the reason I asked if you're homeschooled or if you go to a school, if you can answer that for me too, that actually really help, because there's different ways to market even within school that a lot of people aren't even thinking about. So let me know if you're in a school or if you're homeschooled, but regardless, we're going to ask her, how do you actually stand out and connect to your customers' needs? Now, when it comes to connecting to your customers' needs, it's really about understanding who it is that you're going to be targeting, right? So like in the example I had with the wellness, like, hey, this is a wellness brand. If you keep it as a generality, it's going to be very hard for you to actually solve a need, right? So you want to identify who exactly your brand is going to be for. And you need to start with it in a way that's really dialed in. Now, what does that mean? Okay, let's say like in a little bit, I'm going to show an example of a brand that is absolutely killing it and crushing it in their space. And you guys can kind of see how this plays out, but I just want to visualize it for you guys right now. So for example, let's just say that, hey, you're really into running, right? You're really into, maybe you're an athlete, you're a track star, and you want to launch a performance-driven brand, maybe a running club brand, which we did in a recent video if you guys want to check out. Maybe you want to launch a running brand. Let's just say that. But maybe you want to launch a fitness brand. Let's start there. The general topic is fitness. I don't know exactly what type of industry you're joining from, so I'm just going to ask. I'm going to answer the question based on how you're going to find out to your customers' leads. So he's in a public school, but I've been watching your videos as they really help me a lot. But currently, I'm trying to switch to a business management class to help out. That's great, man. I think being around people in real time that are going to be able to kind of orient you to different things and ways that you can win is how you grow. And it's how I started my first business when I was in college. I had an incredible, amazing professor that really helped us through the process. And then I unfortunately didn't get to learn from anybody on YouTube because nobody on YouTube was showing this kind of information back in the day. So that's why I built the channel, actually. I built it because nobody else was willing to share it. And I said, hey, why not me? I've already learned all this. I've made all these mistakes. Why not help other people that might be in my position? And that's how the channel was founded. And that's how we continue to grow and build up amazing relationships. So in a public school, how do you stand out and really connect to my customers' needs? Okay, so you need to understand what your customers' needs are. And if you're not sure about what those are, it means that you haven't dialed into what niche you're operating in. So if you have just a general idea of it being like a fitness brand, you're like, hey, I just want to launch a fitness brand. It's going to be very hard to connect to people when they might be wearing Nike or Under Armour or any of these other like Gymshark brands, right? It's going to be very hard for you to break out into that space. So instead of that, you need to then find a sub niche within fitness, right? And maybe it's a running club. Maybe it's for people that love to just run for fun, right? And now by you understanding, okay, they love to run for fun. They're young, they're vibrant, they love to have positive messaging. Like the more you can understand what that customer is about, the more you can connect to their needs. So Nike or Under Armour may not have a smiley face style of design that's inspiring people to run in a very vibrant way, right? So you could find gaps within what other people are missing. And your goal is to find a gap, because the reality is people are missing something in their life, right? So whatever you're selling right now, you need to understand your customer to a T, right? The better you can understand them, the better you could design for them, and the better you could reach them through your content. Because once you understand, hey, they love running, they love that positive reinforcement, they really love to watch, motivational videos that are like David Goggins, right? Let's just say, man, my audience loves David Goggins. They just love that shut your bitch ass up, right? So like they love that stuff, right? Now you're gonna design and market completely different. Maybe before you thought it was gonna be very heartfelt and Oprah-ish, but then you realize, man, my audience really is about that David Goggins life. Like they're not complaining. They want that positive reinforcement in a more hardcore way. So the better that you can understand what your audience is, who your true customer is, the better you can make content around it. So then instead of just generalizing it and having a photo shoot at your school or outside with friends, you're not putting it into a real setting, right? You're putting it into a late night, Friday night lights style of track, right? Like the photography is there where they're getting ready, they're wearing your clothes, they're wearing your gear, they're going to run, but then they're also going to interact with your camera, because you realize, hey, my audience doesn't just want to see the actual fitness. They also want to learn about the preparation of how they prepare for something in competition the next day, right? Those long hours is what they care about. So content that engages the audience around how does a professional athlete in high school, get ready. Like those are the type of content that will definitely relate to the audience that you're trying to reach. So the more you can understand who your audience is, the more you could find the needs that are missing within other brands, because you never want to just compete with another established brand. They've spent years designing things and campaigns that are going to reach a certain audience. And it's the reason why they're doing certain things. You need to learn about who they're trying to reach, right? So really try to diagnose it, put the brand in there, go out to their Instagrams, to their other pages, and really try to diagnose who is this for. And a great way to do that is to actually look at the comments. By you looking at the comments of other brands' posts, you start to see who the general demographic and audience is. So if you feel that your brand can connect to their audience, that you guys might have shared audiences, then go through their comments of like the most engaged or highly liked comments and start building out a spreadsheet of them. And then from that, literally like stalk them, like find out what other brands they're following, find out what other, like what they're sharing on their socials, right? If you're not able to get real data from people in your community, then this is a great way to build data from other brands that are already established. So the more you can understand other brands' audiences, the better you can then say, hey, you know what? This brand is serving this audience, but they're still missing this component, which I feel that my brand can bring to the market. So again, it really is about diving into the exact customer persona that you have. The more you can understand it, the better you can market to them. And that's kind of how you can build out the content play, right? So if you guys are just joining us on this live, we've been talking about the reframing and the reworking of how brands are being built today. It's not a product and then go market. It's let's build out a community around an interest and then build a product for it. All right. The better you can do that. This means that your first product may not work out, but it's okay, because you still got that audience, you still got that interest group, you're still making content that relates to them, and they're going to come back. So now you can launch that second group, right? And when you launch it in a way where you're not necessarily out of pocket thousands of dollars. You're testing products in a very low budget way. You might be connecting it to literally buying something like heat transfers and buying a blank and putting a design and then going out and marketing it and seeing how it was received. Like, do you have comments of people saying, yo, where can I cop? Or like, hey, when's that releasing, right? Those are positive reinforced comments that then tell you, hey, I should probably pursue this and I should probably list this for sale, right? There's different ways that you can engage in different metrics, but it begins by really having an understanding of the audience that you're attracting, and then the content strategy that's going to come before that. Start with content, build out the audience, and the products you're going to find the product, guys. You're going to find the products once you have the audience. So SOO, man, that was an incredible question. I really appreciate that, man. I want to give you a huge shout out. I was trying to like your comment, but I just liked, let me pin that message, but it was an incredible question, man. So if you guys are watching this right now, we're diving into the Q&A of how you should be thinking about. We've just been diving into how you should be thinking about the overall framework of starting a brand today. It's not about just launching a product, it's about building community. And right now I want to dive into your guys' questions. So anything that you guys have going on, what's the hardest part for you? We just answered a couple of those. And then what type of content gets the most engagement? So for you guys, for those of you who are currently in business, already launched, what type of content gets the most engagement for your brand? Is it a lifestyle or is it storytelling? If it's lifestyle, put an L. If it's storytelling, put an S in the chat. What type of content do you find is working better for you, lifestyle or storytelling? Meaning lifestyle is more of just, hey, this is a day, like this is something that looks cool, you're just marketing the product. Or is it a storytelling where you're bringing people behind the scenes, right? Because there's a lot of different ways to market a brand. It's not just about putting an ad. It's also about, like, can you bring them behind the scenes of what you're developing, right? That's such an easy way to start building an audience, especially if you could do it in a way where it relates to your target market, right? So for instance, if you're building out that athletic brand that we just talked about with Saul, can you start it off, with some shoes and you're getting ready, but then you're like, yo, before I run my track race, I'm gonna be doing this thing. I'm designing this thing out. I've been working on a project with you guys, and like it's almost ready. I want to get you guys' feedback, right? And you're doing it in a different way, right? You don't have to talk to the camera and say it, but you're being creative in a way that your audience resonates with because you did the research and you see what brands they're following and interacting with. By doing that research with the brands that they're interacting with, you're also seeing the content types that are working to create engagement. So you don't have to start from scratch. You could literally say, hey, this brand is doing this type of content and it's getting good interaction. What is it about that piece of content that's working for them? Is it the way that they're showing the product? Is it the way that they're opening? Is it the hooks? Is it the outros? Is it what they're saying in the story to create conversation? All of those things really matter, guys. So the more you dive into your audience, the better you're going to see these things that other people aren't going to catch. They're not going to catch it until you've already launched and it's like next year, and it's a whole different trend, right? So like if you're starting late, I don't ever think you're going to be able to start late. I think you're starting at the perfect time. But right now, the strategy really is about how do you build an audience. So one of the things I wanted to show, right? So right now we've been answering some questions, and if you guys got some more, drop them because we're going to be diving into it before we end the stream. But I wanted to dive into a real case example right now. So let's build out what this means, the shift from social media to interest media, because this is what this live stream has been about. It's been about the change between how we consume content. For the longest time, it was all about who you were following and what brands you were interested in. But now it's shifted to what your actual interests are as a person. How you interact with websites, how you interact with content on your feed, how you interact with other posts on your feed. All of that literally is giving the algorithms enough data to then say, hey, John may be interested in this brand, or he may be interested in this subject, right? The more that you watch and consume a certain type of content, the more Instagram and Facebook and TikTok are going to show you that type of content on your feed. So your goal as a brand owner is to understand the interest that you're entering. You need to understand how, like, the interests of your customers and your potential customers. What are they actually consuming and what resonates with them? The more you can understand that, the better you're going to be able to sell organically, right? And then and then earlier in the stream, we were talking about the way that you build that funnel, right? That funnel of awareness, interest, consideration, and that conversion of that sale. That really is the different types of pillars that you need to make. So how does that apply to a brand today? Okay, let's pull up the example brand that we got, Yasir. I'm gonna grab a quick water, guys, if you guys don't mind. And we're having fun. We're gonna go hard on this for a little bit longer. So if you guys are joining and you love what's being shared right now, give us a fire emoji. And then we're gonna be diving into this brand that's actually a really cool brand. This guy is he understands it, right? like my kids say. Okay, guys. So right now we have a brand on screen, and this brand here is absolutely understanding exactly who their audience is, right? So when we're talking about interest-based media and we're talking about the landscape shifting, this is a perfect example. So let's pull up one of the videos you see here. I don't know if it's going to play the music or not. Let's just play one and see what happens. That airplane one. That jersey with the airplane in the background. No, the one to the right. This okay, actually that's a good one. That's actually a good post to talk about. Okay, this post right here that we're watching right now. Let's go to the one that you just clicked on before. Okay, let's just play the airplane one. This one works. Okay. This airplane based video, what you guys can see right here is cool. So, oh, sorry, because you're clicking it, but then it's killing it on my side. So I'm over here thinking it's in real time, but we're live, so there's a lag between what he's doing and this thing, which is tripping me out. All right, so if you guys can hear the music, you guys are hearing Metallica. And my genre of music is Metallica. You guys can just hear the music go on. It's gonna copyright strike this. Sorry, stop it. No, it's all good. I just realized it's all copyrighted music, but you guys could see how the sound within this video itself is automatically targeting a certain interest, right? So if you're a bodybuilder and if you're out there working out and if you're in the gym, it's not just about the person that loves to work out, right? You got those guys that are like listening to Metallica, right? And I want to say that one's Enter Sandman, I think. And they're literally just like hardcore lifters, right? They're not just lifting for fun to get toned. Like these guys are out there, like they're listening to this Metallica style of music. Like they just love the grit. The visuals within this video itself is literally guys that are going out to war. It's that Top Gun mentality of the fighter pilots, right? It's like the creme de la creme of the people that are out there pushing it to the limit, right? And they're not scared of losing their life. So when it comes to this is a perfect example of a video that is attracting a mass awareness play, but is connecting to a core person. Because Nike could have done something a little bit more inspirational, right? So like, hey, you love the gym. This is all about for you. Just do it, right? So like Nike is for more that inspirational style of interest. It's not necessarily that sub niche of like I'm out there and I'm gonna kill it, right? So that's the difference between understanding who your audience is and not understanding it and trying to compete with the big brands. So that's one of the big things I want to tell you guys, and I wanted to show that to you. That's a great brand to go and reference. They got all kinds of videos, and the brands that you're going to learn the most from when it comes to content are the ones that are growing, not the ones that are already established. And the biggest takeaway from that video that I wanted to show you guys is how targeted your content strategy needs to be, right? So that first video that we played, it was more about a feature, a product feature. So it was the maybe you could pull it up. That it was like the just the advertising type of thing. The first video that we pulled up was already in a consideration and interest stage, right? So they got mass awareness, mass appeal, then they got consideration stage, and the interest stage, not that one, the one that was the first one that just said Sunday Mass, that one right there. So if we're looking at this one here, this is the one that's playing. That one's good. So replay that real quick. No, not that one. The one that you played just now. Yep. Not the fighter pilot, but the other one, the t-shirt one. That one. Yep. Cool. Yeah, it's a delay. Yeah. Cool. So this right here, guys, is an example of an interest and consideration stage, right? They've already interested in your brand. They might have seen your content on their For You page, right? Right before they went to work out. They literally got that content and now they're considering your brand. So now this is literally the features and benefits of how you're going to look within the product, right? If you notice, that first video had absolutely very minimal product placement. It was really about attracting eyeballs. Now this one is about the consideration stage of buying for you, right? So there's the main questions are being answered within that video. It's the question within, hey, so how does this shirt fit? How does it feel? What type of designs? You know, I'm a muscular dude, so like, is this something that's trendy? Like, should I trust the designs, right? And it's like, okay, cool, larger sizing, more colors. You're looking at it in real time, and you're literally selling your audience that now saw that viral video, and they're like, all right, cool, I want this brand, right? That's what you're doing within your content. A lot of times people are playing just in the consideration stage. So you guys are literally just always sharing the consideration. So like, you're only talking about the products, and you're never relating to that interest in general. So we can cut back to this. So that's one of the things that I wanted you guys to really look at right now. I wanted you guys to see how a brand is doing it in real time, from the interest from the awareness play, that's just like massive videos, really cool, right music, and they're engaging their audience, right? And then from the interest and consideration, which is more product features and benefits. So you got to think about that in your content strategy. By relating better to an interest in a niche like that, you're now able to actually advertise at a lower cost. So if you're just thinking about launching the brand and then paying for ads, it's not a bad strategy, but the main thing is that, can you build an organic content play that gets views and interactions? By then boosting that through a targeted ad campaign, you now get a lower cost of acquisition, which makes you more profitable. So overall, everything is really centered around an audience and an interest. Dial that in, and then start exploring ways that you can share it within your brand. It becomes a lot easier and a lot more fun when you can do that. So right now, I want to go ahead and just, if you guys are joining us live, we've just been diving into the new way of starting a brand, the way that all these established and successful brands have found out, and they're absolutely crushing it within their content, within their sales, and within their branding. They've dialed in their core audience, and they understand how they speak, they understand how they consume, and they understand how they spend. And by you starting with an audience and a general interest, it positions you to then be able to inject a product that will connect with them. And oftentimes it's not the first design, it's not the second design, it may not be to the fifth or sixth design that you start to see some traction. So it's not about just launching it once and then saying, man, nobody liked it, like I should probably give up on this. It's about looking at what's working, what got interactions, what got conversations. If you got a little bit of sales, find out what people actually thought about the product. How did they talk about it? Were they impressed? Were they not impressed? And why not? Those are the important questions that you guys need to ask as you launch. So right now I want to go ahead and recap what we've been talking about. Let's pull up the 6 key points. I want to recap everything that we just did, and then I want to dive into a final Q&A. So if you've been watching with us, thank you so much. If you've been on this stream from the beginning, incredible. Drop your name. I want to go ahead, and I think Myra Cure has been with us from the beginning. I enjoy spending my time researching business and marketing, so this is chill. That's awesome. I appreciate it, man. I hope this really helps. Like, I want to dive into this more. I'm working on some videos that are a little bit more targeted. I wanted to just kind of flow, and then we have some new content coming out that I'm excited for you guys to see. So the main thing that you guys need to consider when it comes to these things that we just discussed is that it's changed. You don't start a business and then build an audience. You build an audience and then you build a business, right? The biggest brands today are based on an audience, and they're getting attention. Wherever that attention is coming from, go in on it. If it's content, go in on it. If it's email marketing, go in on it. Like, building an audience is the ultimate foundation, though. So you need to find ways to build it. Well, however you want to flow, if it's faceless or if it's your face and brand and story, you just have to have an audience. From that, you need to collect real feedback. All right, you need to collect real-time feedback. Talked about the story about, people that are looking to improve and grow in life are always open to actually getting real-time feedback and getting the honest truth. So if something didn't work, ask why. Why didn't people buy it? Why did they ghost you after you said, yo, do you like these designs? And they commented, that's fire, bro. I'm a cop one. And then when it launches, nobody cops. Find out why. You don't want to just leave it at that and just say, hey, man, it sucks that you didn't buy. You should ask them, why didn't you buy?
And they'll tell you if you push them enough. And you got to be okay with getting that real truth, though. You can't feel butthurt about it. You just got to say, dude, I'm not going to be hurt. Like, I just want you to give me real feedback so I can grow. That's really where it begins. From that, you want to adapt and really utilize AI, guys. Utilize AI wherever you can to improve your chances of success, whether it's in designing and sampling and manufacturing. As much as you can use AI to help you go to market quicker. And then you want to match the content that you're creating to the stage of where the customer is. If you're just starting a brand, then you're going to be going for mass awareness, but you also want to have the interest and consideration and the conversion there. Because if one video takes off and then people start kind of looking through your content and they're only seeing entertaining videos, they're not going to understand that you're a brand. So that's also a big mistake that a lot of people do, is that they make really cool content that gets a lot of views, and then they try to sell something and they hard sell it, but they're not necessarily building the brand and what the brand actually means. From that, you want to serve every stage of your community. So that's exactly what I just said. Hey, you want to be able to serve them with the best product, but also with the content that keeps them coming back. You don't want to just make one piece of content and they never see you again. You want them to come back to you. And then more importantly, you need to speak to the interests, not your followers. That is probably the biggest takeaway of 2025. It's completely changed today, guys. We're entering an interest-based world and media. We're now in interest media, not social media, which means that you need to be targeting people's interest, not trying to be social and make friends with them, right? Those days are kind of gone. Like, people used to follow you because they liked you and they're like, oh, this guy is cool. Like, I love this brand because they just are so inspiring, right? But once you're not interested in anymore, you're never going to see them again today, right? So like, if you connect and grow with your audience, it's always the best thing to do. So by understanding their interests, you're able to market in different ways. You're able to really dial into them and connect to them on a deeper level, which causes them to spend more with you. So for those of you guys watching right now, I want to go ahead and take your guys' Q&A. So I want to take any questions that you guys currently have. What's one thing that you guys are going to change your content or brand about after this live stream? So what's one thing you're going to do differently? Let me know in the comments, and let me know if there's anything that's currently holding you back and preventing you from maybe making that change. So what's one thing you're going to change about your content or your brand after this live stream? Let me know in the chat. Would love to see a big takeaway that you got from this, and maybe apply it here, because these live streams are for you guys. We're going live every week, so make sure you guys stay tuned. The next one's going to be on Tuesday. We're going live on Tuesday night around this time again, like 5 o'clock ish. I think we have it as a premiere. So if you guys just go in over there, hit that notify button before you guys close out the live, before you guys leave YouTube, hit the notify button on the next stream, because I have a very special guest. I'm actually really excited for you guys to meet him. He's an incredible guy. He has a deep background in marketing, and we're diving into marketing tactics specifically for print on demand. So if you guys are starting a brand with print on demand, you're going to want to check out that next stream, because we're dropping some gems there. And if you guys are currently in the process of either starting or looking to grow, we have a free community and free resources that we're going to link in the description down below, guys. It's linked on that last page. It's fromthegroundup.io. So I'm just going to drop that in the chat real quick. Fromthegroundup.io is where you guys can get all of your free resources, and we're going to be announcing some news coming up really soon. So please make sure you guys check that out. Subscribe to it. It's free, absolutely free. And we have a you get a free Shopify theme. You get a bunch of suppliers that we don't necessarily talk about on the channel. And then we're picking up our newsletter. So I'm really excited for the newsletters that we got dropping there, guys. So make sure you guys are subscribed to that. You're going to get all the latest news and information. And for those of you guys that are looking for new content, we're dropping new content once a week for at least the end of November till December. My goal is to have once a week video now. And we're not just going to go for the mass awareness, right? That was one thing. That's one mistake that I kind of got myself into a rut of doing. I would always go for mass awareness play, and I would never connect to the people at the other stages of the funnel. So I learned from my own mistakes. Learn from my mistakes, guys. That's the whole point of this live stream, is to start to understand how people are are following your brand, are following who you are, following what you do. And then don't just always go for mass awareness, right? You got to bring in other content pieces that re-engage and keep the people that are already in your circle coming back. Because if you're only going for cool looking videos and high views, you're never going to connect to those interests that people have. So I appreciate every single one of you guys who joined us on this live today. I think we went for a little bit over an hour, maybe, I want to say. Hour 14, guys. That's 74 minutes. Felt pretty good. And it's Halloween, guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. If you're not out there trick-or-treating, I mean, you're probably watching this like, why is he wearing a chain? Well, I had a mask, and the whole point of this stream was to show you guys that there's no more masking. No more masking it. You got to be authentic. You got to go out there, go for the interests of your audience, and create products that connect to them. So if you guys enjoyed this live stream, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for the next videos that are launching on this channel. I know you guys are going to enjoy them because I've really enjoyed making them. So I hope you guys have an incredible night. We'll see you guys on the next live.